Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video we're going to be diving into the massive change that GGG has just made to Voidstones. Oh man, have they buffed these things in a massive way. Also in this video, you are going to fully understand exactly how map sustain works in the Atlas, and you are never going to have trouble with sustaining again after watching this video. Trust me. But first, if you're not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if this video actually does help you out, chuck it a thumbs up and maybe give me a comment below. Alright, let's dive into the content. So what is the change first and foremost, and what's it going to do to the meta? Well, they've added a 25% chance for maps to drop one tier higher for every socketed Voidstone. Overall, giving you a total with 4 Voidstones of 100% chance for maps to drop one tier higher. So is this powerful? Well, absolutely it is. We're basically getting all of the map sustain nodes on the Atlas passive tree for free. And if you already took the Atlas passive tree nodes, well, you're getting double it. And that is a massive, massive deal. But how much of a massive deal is it? Well, let's dive into how map sustain works in the actual current game so you guys get a full understanding, and then we'll come back to this massive buff and truly understand the impact of it on the end game meta. Alright, so map sustain. We're going to have to go back to the beginning here in order to explain it. So when you have a fully completed Atlas but no Voidstones, your Atlas is going to look a little like this. So overall, you'll have all of the different tiers on your Atlas, and it'll kind of be, it's in its natural state, unmanipulated. Okay, so when you're doing a tier 16 map, for example, and you're mapping through and you're having a good time, you'll notice that maps of all different tiers are dropping, from tier 1 all the way up to, tier 6 or 7, and tier 15, and some tier 16s. You'll notice that some of the maps are quite low tier, and you might be wondering why that is. Well, overall, any tier of map can drop from any other tier of map, as long as, it's below. So if you're doing a tier 16, you can drop tier 16s and anything below. Doing a tier 5, you can drop +1 and then anything below. And overall, that's kind of how the game has always worked. Now, where the confusion starts is as soon as you socket a Voidstone, well, now you no longer have tier 1, 2, and 3 maps on your Atlas. But when you're doing tier 16 maps, you'll now notice that you drop significantly less maps overall once socketing that Voidstone. Why is that? Well, it's because the maps that were tier 1, 2, and 3 are no longer dropping, even though they actually are in the background here. Some people think that once you socket the Voidstones, the tiers of all the maps actually just upgrade. So, where you previously would have dropped a tier 1, it's just going to be a tier 4 now. Or when you drop a tier 15 or, something like that, and you have all the Voidstones socketed, it's just going to be tier 16 automatically. That is not the case. Actually, what is going on is when you drop that tier 1, 2, or 3, well, it's actually just being deleted and stored as what's called map equity, which is a system we're going to dive into in detail here. All right, so let me give you a further example. So as you continue to socket the Voidstones, your Atlas is going to get progressively higher and higher in terms of the average tier, all the way up into the point where all of your maps are tier 16 in the end. So now, the player that's doing their tier 16 maps, whenever they drop a tier 15, a 14, or any of the maps below, they're just deleted and turned into map equity, meaning you're going to get and see significantly less map drops. However, the caliber of map you're dropping is going to be far, far higher, and that is all because of map equity. Alright, so we've established the maps that drop still exist. They're not just automatically converted into the higher tier with the socketing of Voidstones. Well, let's talk a little bit about what this map equity system is and what it's doing. So let's take a player that has a fully socketed Voidstoned up Atlas, and they've got all tier 16s on their Atlas, and they drop an imaginary tier 15 map, which gets deleted and promptly stored as map equity. Okay, so what is this doing? So let's say you drop one tier 15 and it's going to store it as a number of, okay, I have one tier 15 map in my equity pool now. Well, okay, it's just going to sit there. You're not going to get anything until you drop a further 2 more tier 15 maps. So first tier 15 map you dropped, okay, no problem. It's stored it, it's deleted, you didn't get anything. You didn't see it on your filter, okay. Next tier 15 map drops. Okay, it gets stored as equity as well. Nothing's happening, all good, all good. And then once the third tier 15 drops though, it's going to grab that equity, those 2 maps of equity, and shove them into the new tier 15 that just dropped and upgrade it to a tier 16 map, essentially turning all 3 of those tier 15 maps into a new tier 16 map for you, essentially doing the 3-to-1 recipe for you. However, the upside of this is that it will actually follow your favoriting system as well as the rules of the Atlas, meaning overall you're going to be sustaining self-sustaining more tier 16 maps and more maps of your favorite, which is overall a very good thing. But the overall outcome is going to be that you're going to get less maps, because essentially the equity system is just taking every map that drops, turning it into equity and 3-to-1ing it all the way up into your tier 16s. Now, the cool thing about equity though is that it works on all tiers. So if you get all of these tier 14s, it's going to store all those up, turn them all into 15s, and that'll contribute to your tier 15 maps as well. And it'll all kind of just funnel all of them up into tier 16s, giving you overall a significantly larger amount of tier 16s available to you than a player that doesn't have all the Voidstone socketed. Okay. Enter maps drop 1 tier higher. Why is this so damn powerful? Well, it is a more multiplier on your map equity, which is very, very powerful. So now, when your tier 15s are dropping, well, they're just going to drop as tier 16s and not be converted into map equity if you have a 100% increased chance for tiers to drop 1 tier higher. So with all of the Voidstone socketed, let's take that same tier 15 map and it drops. It gets turned into equity normally, but now instead, if it drops 1 tier higher 100% of the time, it's going to automatically turn into tier 16 and follow the rules of the Atlas, giving you pretty much, you know, way more maps. So all the maps that dropped as tier 16, you were getting them anyway, but now all the maps that drop as tier 15 are now turning into 16s as well, which is going to be significantly higher amounts of maps for you to enjoy, and it's going to overall turbocharge your map sustain. But that's not all. Every single other tier is now getting, you know, around 3 times the amount of equity when it drops. Because when a tier 14 drops, it's now dropping as a tier 15. And we already talked about how that equity system is going to benefit you in the long run. And overall, it's worth a whole lot more to have 1 tier 15 map than 1 tier 14 map in the equity system. Okay, so that's pretty damn good. And that's why overall the map nodes were so damn powerful for map sustain. It's essentially giving you almost like 300% more maps. I know it's not exactly that mathematically, but you kind of get the point. It's giving you a ton more maps, and every time 1 drops, you're essentially getting 3 that drop, which is definitely very, very strong. Okay, well, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the new buff then, because the new buff is not only are we getting all the stuff on the tree, but we're getting 100% for free on the Voidstones. So if you were to take the Voidstones and also take the tree, anytime a tier 14 drops, it's now going to be a tier 16, which is pretty damn insane. So previously, with a player with no nodes and no Voidstones, a tier 14 drops, well, it's going to be a tier 14. But when you have 100%, that tier 14 gets turned into a tier 15, giving you 3 times. And then when that gets multiplied again with the nodes on the tree, if you take those 2, that tier 15 gets 3-to-1, giving you essentially 9 tier 14 maps when you drop 1 tier 14 map, which is completely ridiculous and very, very strong. So what is the impact of this? Well, the map sustain is going to be ludicrous. This is my tab from my latest big science project. So I got about 8 to 12 maps before they put the patch through, and I've done a further about 12 maps, and you can see here my favorite map is City Square. You know, this is under 24 maps, and this is how many city squares I have. It's ridiculous. This is with the Watchstones as well as with the Atlas passives, and overall this isn't the full 24 maps that I had this buff in place. It is absurd how many maps you're going to be getting of your favorite, and that is definitely a good thing. It means you're going to be able to run whatever map you want, self-sustaining, without the need to go and trade. Now, if you want to start your map pool off, there might still be a reason to trade, or if you want to kind of go with some crazy wacky strategy, there may be as well. But overall, it was already incredibly easy to sustain if you took all the map nodes, and now you're getting that for free. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means you have massive opportunity suddenly on your Atlas passive tree. You no longer need to take a bunch of these map nodes here, meaning you have many more pathing opportunities as well as many more Atlas passives at your disposal. You may not need to kind of grab this cookie cutter kind of standard center path tree anymore due to the fact you get all of the bonuses of it for free, meaning we have a lot more freedom to kind of go for some really crazy synergies and excellent Atlas passive strategies, even on the low investment side of things, without having to worry about our map pools, meaning we can kind of really start to splash out on some of the more extravagant stuff like Beyond, even stuff like Ritual, and stuff like Bestiary, which was quite difficult to invest in before due to the fact that I had massive travel and it was really far away from the center, are now suddenly a lot more viable. So previously where you could get probably like 2 to 3 lead mechanics. Now you might even be able to get 3 to 4 lead mechanics due to the fact you don't need to take map sustain nodes. Well, I haven't tested this extensively yet, and I'm not entirely sure how the map market is going to settle, but overall, this is a big deal. Hopefully this, guys, has helped you understand, map sustain as well as how map equity works. With the new Atlas passives, I have no doubt you should be able to pretty much completely sustain your favorite map. Now, there is one node here that I think will probably be still in most builds, and that is Shaping the Seas. Shaping the Seas is going to increase your chance at getting the actual favorited map that you want, and that is an incredibly powerful mechanic. It's basically going to massively skew the favorites in your favor, and overall, I think that's probably still worth picking up. And it's also quite close to the Harbinger nodes, which are completely ridiculous, as well as the Strongbox nodes, which we've already proven are quite strong as well. So overall, I think that this is going to shake things up quite a lot 2 weeks into the league, and overall I think it's going to be a pretty damn exciting time. Lots now to figure out and kind of tweak and fine tune, but I think that there is going to be quite a lot of opportunity here for people who are ready to innovate. So I hope you guys enjoyed and found this video informative. Until next time, cheers.